Well, we had a lot of dogs. My dad was a dog lover, an animal lover, and we had a basement in an apartment. My father kept bringing home animals, and so did my brother and I. We had a couple of dogs, always at least three, sometimes more. This is in a city apartment. I had rats, mice, uh, cats, snakes, lots of different kinds of snakes, birds. Uh, I had a couple of dozen kinds of animals in cages. I'm a scientist at 10 years old, and the dogs run with me. The other tenants didn't like that. They were afraid of our dogs, and when they come and look in a cage and see a snake, the women would run upstairs screaming. However, my father was breeding some no. He was breeding some Nobel Prize winners, and he wasn't about to have a bunch of Polish women screaming and stopping the flow of science in the Benston household. And we were my dad had the only job. He paid the rent. If he didn't pay the rent, there was no heat. It gets cold in Chicago. So, if they complained to the landlord, who was a rabbi, the landlord would tell them they'd have to buck up and eat it. When Mr. Benson paid the rent, they got cold. If you want to get warmer, shut up. He's a tough guy. Pelson. But we had Cookie. That was my dog, Cookie. Pekingese, pureblood. I've got a picture around here somewhere. She was a beautiful dog and afraid of nothing. Then we had Corky, a purebred Boston Terrier. And we always had another one. I don't know where they came home. We tell my mother they followed he home from the car line. Huh. And we exported to relatives downstate. But I took Cookie with me a lot of places. Chuck carried the Boston Terrier. They followed us around. We also had cats. My dad had cats. He had tamed a flock of squirrels. When he came home at night, the squirrels were bunched around the back window, waiting for the hand to come out with a handful of peanuts to put on the windowsill. And if my dad wasn't home or they didn't see him, they'd bang on the window until he'd come and put peanuts out for them. We had peanuts were cheap. My dad would get a big bag of peanuts, feed a couple of handfuls to the squirrels every night. They'd eat from his hands. But my dogs, they of course slept with us under the covers. Cookie and Corky. Uh, My folks thought they were their dogs. Dogs no kids. Cookie was mine. Pekingese, I always had respect for Pekingese after that. And even the Boston Terrier, without the peak was his mother, it would follow the peak around. The peak would not allow other dogs or cats in the house. It'd go for it. But I had other dogs at various times. When I was in kindergarten, I had two very busy streets to cross. A mile to school, and I had a dog called Stub. It was a pretty good sized dog. I don't remember much about it except it had no tail, Stub. And when we went to school in the morning, kindergarten, we all pretty much went in a bunch, about 6 or 7 kids. Once in a while, a mother would go with us, but Stub always. And anybody that came up, even talked to the kid, would have a dog that big come up and so nobody bothered this convoy of kids. Convoyed by a dog. I don't know what it was, but the teachers liked the dog. The principal was a dog fan. So the dog got to go to school. Come in with us. The dog got fed when we got fed. The dog was always in the room. It knew the principal and the teachers. Principal would come in, Mr. Kent, put his hand down. The dog would lick it. The hand would open and there would be a piece of chocolate. Wow. He was a popular guy. But they went to school every day with me. Stayed in the classroom, the kindergarten room. Stubby. And I remember my mother said, "It's cold in the house. I'm going down and put some more anthracite on the coal stove in the basement. That would get hot water." She used the word anthracite, not hard coal, hard coal. But she come up. "You know what your fool father did?" What did Daddy do now? "The basement is full of dogs." What? So my brother and I rushed down to the basement. It's not fun. There are 9 or 10 of them. She had puppies, a white Spitz. My mother called the police department. They sent out a car. It was a gas truck that killed all the dogs, you know? Euthanasia. My father came home. He came upstairs and he said, "Blanche, what happened to my dogs?" My mother was too dumb to lie. She said, "I called the police and they came and got them." My father got so mad I thought he was going to burst. He never hit my mother, of course, but I thought he was going to explode. Give away his dog. Well, and he found him in the gutter and carried him home instead of going to work. And made up for in the basement next to the furnace. They had a furnace room. Well, it was still the same winter. My father came upstairs and he said, I put a dog down in the furnace room, a white Spitz. That dog better be here. My mother looked up guilty. He came home. The dog was happy to see him. We had a couple of other dogs, and they got away well with them. But my mother didn't want that. So my Uncle Arch came to Chicago, bringing some of the bountiful harvest from his farm. And he took the dog with him, with my father's consent, for my grandfather, who did not like dogs. My grandfather was a typical farmer. If you had an animal, they had to pay their way or they died. Archie was the same way. No, anything he had in the way of animals, he had to feed. He had to make some money out of it. My grandpa was the same, and he couldn't see any good reason for feeding a dog when he didn't need it. He didn't have a cow anymore. His horse didn't need a dog. But it was funny. Queenie, born Little Spitz, was a beautiful dog, but not a friendly one. But she adopted my grandpa. Where he went, she went. Anybody that got near grandpa, Queenie come and sit here between grandpa and the visitor, and the dog would curl his lip and growl at him. Had half the neighborhood scared to death. Queenie was a pretty good sized dog, Spitz. He even took him to a bar. Queenie ran the other guys off the stools. Uh, my grandfather loved that dog. He hated dogs. This dog was different. It was Queenie. Oh, perfect dog. My grandpa would come to eat. The dog came and sat at the table between his legs. My father laughed and laughed and laughed. There's the dog, just like her. And he's talking baby talk to a stray. My grandma didn't see that. I remember. No, my brother and I got along fine with the dog. We begged Swedish Miss. Grandpa, he always had a pocket full. And we'd give one to the dog. Oh, 15 minutes together. It likes Swedish Miss. But that was great. My uncle, Arch, the one that picked the dog up and put in the grandpa, like dogs. He had a farm. They were working dogs. They were big dogs. St. Bernards, German Shepherds, and an English Bulldog named Jack, the biggest Bulldog I ever saw. But those dogs got at the chicken house at night. There were chicken thieves out there. Questions? You laugh, chicken thief. But they would hit a farm, steal the chickens, which was the income for most of these farmers, but not Archie's farm. One looked at Rex. That was a secret farm. And Rex didn't growl. He sort of rumbled. Oh, oh, like that. And there would be the bulldog beside Rex. That dog growled. The dog meant business. Believe me, you can tell. That dog would love to bite you. Rex wouldn't get him. And I forget. He had those dogs. They prowled the farm at night. Never alone, always two of them. Sometimes three. I'd be in summer nights. My brother and I would sleep out in the lawn. I can remember Big Rex coming up, flopping himself beside me, bigger than I was. Put his head on my shoulder and go to sleep. He was heavy. But he'd get up and he'd walk to the front gate, stand there for a while. The other dogs would get up and join him. He'd have three dogs waiting in the shadows. Three big. Uncle Lard said, "It's worth the feed money." He'd say, "I hope they catch one." My Aunt Lou would say, "Oh, no, no, they're tearing to pieces." Exactly. That's what I want. Let the dogs get at them. But they never did. People decided they didn't want to visit them. If you like dogs, you come to the Olsons. You got dogs. Always. And cats. He had at least 20 cats. Well, my dad had a cat. All the local firemen hated that cat. The cat would climb to a tree as big as the ones we got here, get up the top, afraid to go down, I said, and scream. And my dad, which is a little bit of politics, called the fire department, and they would send out a ladder truck, and some poor soul had to climb that ladder, pick up that screaming monster. Big! That was the biggest cat you ever saw. Yeah. And bring it down. Well, the cat never bit anybody, scratched anybody. But you had to climb a ladder about 3 stories high and bring down a cat squirming. Firemen did not like that. I don't blame them. The cat would go in the middle of the street and scream, do nothing but howl for 2 or 3 minutes. All the dogs shut up in the neighborhood. It rode a number of them out of the area. Yeah. My uncle told me this is the problem. He told my dad, "That's not a house cat." My dad said, "I said it's a house cat and it comes in the house." Cookie and Corky ignore it. The cat doesn't bother the Pete or the Boston Terrier. And our big dog just looks at it, doesn't do anything. Well, or Arch said, that is a mixture. My dad said, what kind? He said, wildcat. That cat is half wild. His mother or his father was a wildcat, a mountain lion. It was a tomcat. My dad said it's impossible to breed a tomcat out of a mountain lion. Not that he knew anything about cats. And the cat liked my dad. When my dad was home, after he got in past the squirrels, past the dogs, glad to see him, he let Tommy in the house. And when my dad looked at the paper, the cat would sit beside him and purr. Cats big cats purr too. It never gave one damn for my brother and I, that cat. Completely ignored us, which was unusual. I got a zoo in the basement, a zoo in the house. I think most people consider us crazy. Not crazy. That dog, the Spitz, and later the people. My dad would go to the corner bar for a beer with it. The dog would go with him. And since he didn't bother the customers much, except he run them all off the bar but they'd come back. Under my father's okay. But he'd come up, some guy looked down and see this monster. He's gone, you know. But after a while, people got used to seeing him. Thanks in the butts. But my dad, as big as he was, there were those mutts had very little violent destruction. He used to win them simply by skating what he thought was the correct answer, and he won the argument. I never say I heard the dog bark or like that in appreciation. They just follow my dad. But they didn't follow us to school like the other dogs did. They stayed at home with my mother. And it wasn't a tough, but it was a rough one. When we lived on Menard, my dad didn't worry about my mom or the money in the house. The two dogs were there, and the two kids, and I'm getting big. 10 years old, I was big. 12, I'm bigger. 13, I'm 185, 200 pounds playing football. Uh-uh. Nobody bothered the base. And my dad was the biggest one of us all. And a long time ago, Uncle Henry my dad's kid brother, was 6'7". He was big. I enlisted in the Army from college, so well and good. The war is over and I come home. And I get a card saying, I got to register, come home from the next draft. I am 4A, top specimen, 4 years of service at the aircraft. But I go down, I'm a good citizen, and get a card. Besides, I wanted one. We're all in civilian. And I got to show that card, you know, all those years in the service. And I got blown out. I got a real strong woman by the president of the draft board. There were others waiting like me to get a card. The reason was I cheated them. I enlisted and they did not get credit for a draftee. They had to produce so many. And he told me, you did us a dirty trick, you cheated, all kinds of things, nasty words. Why, we had to take guys with good jobs, making 50 a week. And with a kid, and draft them because a SOB like you enlisted and we got no credit. I'm standing there in disbelief. I'm catching this, and I'm looking at the guy. He's older than I am, but not a lot. He's in his 20s. So I opened with, well, you humpback. That's a good opening. I said, come out from the desk. Tell your simpleton buddies, etc. to call a cop, but he won't get in time to save you because I'm going to beat the living out of you. I was so mad, calling me all those names for being in the service, and here's guys making 50 a week, and I made it so they might have to be drafted. Ah, ah, ah. There were a lot of draft dodgers. Not a few, but a lot. They could figure out more ways knock the girl up. Better still, knock two up. Show that you're the sole support. That was typical. And there were jobs plenty. Everybody was looking for help. And 50 was about an average pay. That was a month's salary for me. I knew several. I disliked him before, and I disliked him after. Same guys, God's the crap, got away. Yeah. Boy, after 4 years in the Army, I knew a lot of dirty language. I've been called every name in the book, you know. And when I finally exploded in front of this draft board, I scared the living shit out of it. Oh, have your buddies call the cops. By the time you get here, I'll have beaten you up. I never got to touch them. Plus, the cops would come. A couple of them were out of the service and had zero sympathy. If I had been beating them up, they would have waited till I was done and then arrested me. One of them told me that that's what they would do. But I wouldn't have needed. I could have taken the whole. There were a couple of real old guys on it too. I think 5 or 7 of them. But I'll tell you, they were all shocked to the core at me standing there. There was half a dozen guys waiting to be interviewed and probably get blowed out. They were cheering me on. Go get them. I figured they were desperate. I was the only infantryman there. In that room, I must have loomed like Hades. You know, those guys looked at me. They were afraid of me. You know? I liked that feeling. They were really afraid. And I think back, would I run into them? And I decided that I was so mad, all the no good SOB, letting a guy get drafted who was making 50 a week, and I was living on the lap of luxury, just carrying a rifle against the trunks. Uh, uh, I think I would have gone into it. I would have won. That was a conclusion I reached years after I would have won against the draft board. Those 2 old guys that were on it, they're in their 60s, they're nothing. The president of the draft board was in his 20s. He stayed seated. He could have been disabled. I didn't know. But there were 2 or 3 in their 30s, and they were in good health, which they would not have been if they had jumped. I knew dirty tricks like dozens, and I was carrying a knife that long, strapped to it. During the day, I didn't carry a gun. A long time before the war ended, after the war ended, that I stopped carrying a gun. I used to sleep with one under my pillow. Takes a while to get over, and I don't remember any dogs when I came home. My dog, my Cookie, had died while I was overseas, and Porky had passed away too. And I don't think they even had any dogs. I don't know. I forgot. But I could. You know, I was, I thought a dog man. I was on the front when I was 18. And it was quickly so hard. We didn't hurt people. Did you know that? Uh-uh. I never shot a man. I was pretty good with targets, though. We were told they are trucks or targets. They're not people, they're targets. Bonson. What's that? I've been on a rifle team in high school. I was pretty good at it. If I shot at you, you would have died. What do you like at 20? You don't get older. Most exciting time in your life. We had lots of crackpots in here. We had a lot of guys swear they're going to get back to murder. I never knew anything did. But they were gonna, they said. It might have been all for me, too. A lot of weed. I didn't have another dog for a while. No place to keep him. I was like, the first chance I got to have a dog, I got myself a mongrel. He was with me for a while, and then he ran away or something. I don't know. Somebody stole it. Dogs were hard to get at the time. Believe it or not. You know, all those men released from the service, they all wanted three things: a dog, a car, and a house and a wife. They, that was their ambition. But cars and dogs came ahead of women. Everybody had something. There were plenty of women around. On my block, three gold stars, three guys taken out of the housing market in America. Young was, he was engaged, he was 27. He was murdered by the SS at a place. That's it, Holiday. The SS officers that ordered the bomb machine gun, 280. Our stupid generals exonerated. because he could show he had no way to keep him. He had a small garrison, and he couldn't keep them or feed them. So he killed all of them, machine gun. And Yalmar, who lived next door, was one of them. Well, I found out the SS number, and the SS number was the same one that we had been fighting across Europe. So Yalmar, D'Artagnan sent me sleeping in France. You remember that I have celebrated your death. I looked for them. It's a prisoner or what they were. They were 17, and I was near them. I killed them. And then Edwin Olsen in my Boy Scout was in my patrol. And he turned up in my outfit. And Edwin got himself killed. And then Ronnie Williams didn't know him very well. Older than us. He died. I just saw his name on the street. But there were three candidates for marriage they liked. No men.